Last episode, we saw that the order of our code matters. Each instruction runs in sequence, one after the other. But what happens when we want to run the same instructions again and again? Let's say I want a character to keep switching between two different dance moves. I could add play dance 1, play dance 2, play dance 1, play dance 2, and then keep adding the same blocks until I have enough. That works, but code is repeating. Instead of using the same instructions hundreds of times, we can use our next programming concept: repetition. Repetition is used in programs when we need a chunk of code to run more than once. In FlockXR, repetition appears in a few different forms. Some animation blocks have repetition built into them. We also have loop blocks that can repeat any instructions we place inside them. I am going to start with repetition inside the animation blocks. The switch animation block plays an animation and keeps it running until it receives a new instruction. The glide and rotate blocks also have repetition built into them. Learners can switch the loop checkbox on and off, run the program, and immediately see how the behaviour changes. These are useful ways to introduce repetition because learners can see the effect without building a loop themselves. Once they understand that an instruction can run repeatedly, we can introduce the more obvious repetition blocks. The forever block repeats the code inside it for as long as the program is running. A count-controlled loop, or repeat loop, repeats the code inside it a set number of times. FlockXR also has a repeat while loop. This repeats code while a condition is true. It needs some understanding of conditions, so I would leave that one until learners are ready for it. And if you're also thinking, what are conditions? Don't worry, we will answer that in a later episode. There are also 4 each blocks. These allow the same code to be applied to every item in a group or list. They can be incredibly useful, but they add another layer of complexity. Beginners do not need to know every type of loop at once. For an early introduction to repetition, I would focus on 3 things: repetition built into an animation block, a forever loop, and a repeat loop with a set number of repetitions. This episode is being filmed at the Red House glass cone in Dudley. It is the best preserved glass cone in England and was used to manufacture glass until 1936. It is a famous landmark in my local area and celebrates the history of glassmaking in Stourbridge. Local places like this can provide a strong starting point for programming projects. We created the Red House glass cone in FlockXR in 2 very different ways. The first is a colourful scene that celebrates the building and the area around it. The second places the cone inside a side quest game. A monster has taken over the site and the player has to defeat it to save the town. The setting is the same, but the programming possibilities are completely different. When you are planning projects for your learners, think about the places, buildings, and industries that matter in your local community. Recreating them in FlockXR can give learners a setting they recognise while still leaving plenty of room for imagination. We're going to use that idea now and explore how repetition can bring a project to life. Let's start with a project that uses a forever loop. In my glass cone project, I can use a forever loop to repeat some effects on the furnace inside the glass cone. So I can make it glow, wait for a second,
clear the effects, and then wait for a second. Because this animation needs to happen for the whole time that my project is running, it makes sense to use a forever loop, because this will keep running those blocks over and over again until the program is stopped.
In this project, the code inside the forever block keeps running for as long as the program is playing. That makes it useful for movement, animation, changing effects, or anything else that needs to continue throughout the project. Now, let's compare that with a repeat loop.
Let's say I want 5 stars to pop out of the top of the glass cone at the end of the game. I could put add stars, add physics, add a force 5 times to get my 5 stars, or I can put it into a count controlled loop. And this one, I've got it set to repeat 5 times. So everything inside there will repeat 5 times. So let's see what happens. Okay, so that looks pretty cool as it is, but actually now I might decide, well, I want it to do it 20 times instead. So I can very quickly go in there, change the code, and then I can make the change so that there's 20, and you can see that some of them are dropping down here. So this is a really fun little project just to tinker with and try and get the effect exactly as you want it. So let's try it at 50. And then you can see we've got a bit more of an explosion happening, a bit more of them collecting down the bottom there. So you can really experiment with a repeat loop here just by changing the numbers and seeing the different effects that happen on the screen. Now, don't worry if you don't know what add physics means, what apply force means. That is coming up in a couple of episodes' time.
This time, the code only runs for the number of repetitions we choose. The loop gives us control over how many times something happens. We can change the number, run the code again, and see how that changes the outcome. The comparison is important. A forever loop continues until the program stops. A repeat loop runs a set number of times, and then the program moves on to the next instruction. We have now explored several ways repetition can appear in a FlockXR project. It can be built into an animation block, it can run continuously inside a forever loop, or it can run a set number of times inside a repeat loop. Repetition makes our programs more efficient. Instead of writing the same 2 blocks hundreds of times, we can place them inside a loop. It also gives us more control. We can decide what repeats, how often it repeats, and what happens after the repetition ends. At the beginning of this episode, I showed a common approach used by beginner programmers. When learners only know how to build a sequence, they may repeat the same blocks again and again. Their program may look really inefficient to an experienced programmer, but their thinking makes sense based on what they currently know. This is not something we should stop immediately. We should encourage learners to experiment, build, and notice what is happening in their code. Our job as teachers is to spot the moment when a new programming concept will help them solve a problem. When the same code is appearing again and again, that is the moment we use repetition. Next, we will explore what I think is one of the most engaging programming concepts of all: events. Remember to like and subscribe to be notified of when the next episode is released. And I shall see you next time. Bye bye for now.